Good morning, everybody. So I will be here to discuss the second part of the discussion in business continuity management. So in the content of this discussion, this is divided into two parts. Now, the first one is I will discuss the business continuity plan for investment firms, or 5 steps of business continuity plan for investment firms. And then the second part, or the second subtopic, will be the 6 stages for business continuity management life cycle. So 2 parts itong discussion. This is not that long, and some of the contents here are already discussed on the previous lesson, which is the first part in BCM. So we will just highlight some things na hindi naman masyado nating na-reiterate or hindi natin thoroughly na-discuss doon sa previous discussions natin. All of the questions will be entertained. If you do have, just raise your hands or message in call message kung ano yung questions. And then if I ask something and you wanted to share your thoughts or your answers, you can raise your hand and I will call you by your name. Ayan. So, on the first subtopic of this discussion, we will be tackling the 5 steps of business continuity planning for investment firms. Maybe some of you will think, bakit investment firms yung ating itatakel dito sa paggawa or sa steps ng business continuity planning. Just to give you a general background about investment firms. So mostly all of the firms, especially in corporate, they are considered an investment firms. So even if they are food establishments, even if they are international business, even if they are retailers and resellers or consumers and firms, like for example, yung Procter & Gamble, ganun yung gumagawa ng mga sabon, kape, etc. They are considered as investment firms because they open their selling of shares sa public. Kaya majority ng itatakal natin ngayon ay sa perspective ng lahat ng klase ng firms, kasi we can consider micro firms or macro firms, maliliit o malalaking firms, as investment firms as long as they have stakeholders, they have stockholders and shareholders. So ayun. Kaya ang pinakapunto ng discussion natin ay tungkol sa investment firms. And once again, some of the topics that will be mentioned here are already discussed on the previous lesson. So hindi ko na masyadong i-highlight yung ibang mga points because I know naman na naiintindihan nyo yung konsepto ng mga iyon. Dahil bibigyan ko naman kayo ng refresher about dun sa mga terms na madedefine dito, na na-define na rin naman ng nakaraang discussions. So just one learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, all of you should be able to understand the steps to business continuity planning. Now, going back to dun sa previous discussion natin, we talk about business continuity management and business continuity management framework. So just to give you a brief refresher lang about dun sa discussion natin ng Unit 4. Yung business continuity management ay isang ideology na kung saan ang mga businesses ay nag-iisip na ng plans or they are crafting plans on their heads with regards to the continuation of processes if they encounter disasters or calamities. So yun yung naging punto ng discussion natin ng nakaraan. Once na maisa papel na, once na magawa na siya ng documentation, ang tawag na po doon sa business continuity management na yun ay BCM framework. Dahil nagawa na natin siya ng papel, kaya na siya natawag na framework. And we also define what is the difference between business continuity and disaster recovery. Di ba nabanggit ko sa inyo doon na ang business continuity ay yung general, the overall plans of the company when they encounter disasters or calamity. On the other hand, when we talk about disaster recovery, yun naman yung specific thing na ginagawa ng business kapag na-encounter na nila yung isang incident. Like for example, ano yung gagawin nila kapag naka-experience sila ng sunog. That specific solution is called disaster recovery. And yung kabuuang plano sa business continuity ay tinatawag na BC or business continuity. So, ayun, basta in this discussion proper, 2 main things I will discuss the 5 steps of business continuity planning for investment firms, and then later on yung stages. Magkakonekta tong dalawa na to, yung dalawang parte na to. Yung madidiscuss ko sa umpisa ay masasagot dun sa pangalawang parte. Just listen carefully, and ayun, kasi ito yung magiging content ng ating quiz next week. Ayan, so let's start with the first step. So, sabi natin mga anak, dun sa business continuity management, isa yun sa reason na ang business ay nagkakaroon ng edge sa kapwa niya business kasi mas handa sila compare sa iba. Tama po ba? Narinig niyo ba yun na nabanggit ko last time? No, we can consider having a business continuity as an edge dahil mas madali tayong makaka-continue sa ating business process kapag tayo ay handa kahit na hindi naman natin alam kung kailan mangyayari ang isang sakuna. No, so, dito sa step 1, sabi dito, risk assessment. So, it is very much important to prioritize assessing risk because of these reasons, yung mga nakabulet. Nasabi dito, the first thing that we should consider in assessing risk is to evaluate the company's risk and exposure. No, so, sabi ko nga sa inyo, you will have subject pertaining to risk management. Isa yan sa major subject no, financial management, because all of you should understand and learn that there are several types of risk that a business might encounter. No, sa risk register, we have 15 risk registered na iba't ibang klase ng risk na pwedeng iba-iba din yung likelihood and yung occurrence. So, ang ibig ko lang sabihin dito, all of the business are exposed in experiencing risk. No, like for example, lahat ng business ay may financial risk because ang pera ang blood ng business. Now, we can consider financial risk into many different things. Pwedeng investment risk, pwedeng basta may iba pang klase ng risk na naka-embed sa financial risk. And bakit ko siya sinasabi na unang step dapat na i-assess yung risk? No, kasi unang-una sa lahat, bago tayo makagawa ng isang magandang plano, dapat inuugat muna natin ano nga ba yung dapat gawa ng plano, kasi in the first place, we should consider first the problem before crafting a solution. And the problems in industry can be considered as risk or threats. Yun yung tawag sa kanya. And the first thing that a business should do or an investment should do is to evaluate what are the risks and saan sila exposed na problems. No? Kasi it will be easy for them to make a solution, to make a plan if they already know kung saan sila mahina at kung ano yung problema na pwede nilang ma-encounter through evaluating the company's risk and exposure. The second bullet is to assess the potential impact of various business disruption scenarios. So, just to give you an example, so sa example nito, 'di ba? Nabanggit ko sa inyo nung nakaraan sa ating discussion na there are different kinds of disasters and calamity that would hinder the business operations. Like for example, may bagyo o kaya naman ay merong lindol. No, 'di ba nabanggit ko yan sa inyo. And those kinds of disruption or those kinds of calamities have different impact doon sa business. And most likely, those kinds of calamities have physical impact on the business. Like for example, kapag ka nilindol, nasisira yung building. O kaya kapag ka naman inuulan, nagkakaroon ng disruption sa business operation kasi baka hindi makabalik sa trabaho because of heavy rainfall, hindi makapasok, walang pasada, or else, yun nga, nabanggit ko rin sa inyo iba't ibang considerations paano nagkaka-work from home, paano nagkakaroon ng suspension of work. Nabanggit ko yan sa inyo. And it is part of risk assessment because those things or those, calamities is a type of risk. No, it could be an environmental risk or hazard risk. Hindi ko maisa-isa sa inyo yung risk kasi hindi nyo pa talaga forte, pang medyo higher levels yun, yung pag-isa-isa nun. Pero I just wanted to give you the background about it na yung salitang risk sa business ay masyadong malawak. No, and it is important for them to understand that those different risks that they might encounter, iba-iba rin yung impact nun, iba-iba yung seriousness, iba-iba rin yung likelihood nun na mangyayari. No, syempre yung likelihood ng bagyo na mangyayari ay most likely mangyayari kasi tayo ay nasa bansa na kung saan ay exposed tayo sa bagyo. On the other hand, ganun din naman sa lindol kasi tayo ay nasa Pacific Ring of Fire. So, exposed din tayo sa earthquakes. No, so, as business, they should be aware of that, and also they should be ready enough when they encounter those kinds of things through checking its impact kapag nangyari yun. Yan yung sinasabi dun sa pangalawang bullet. Third is the determination of the most likely threat scenarios. Same thought lang siya with the second bullet. Fourth is assessment of telecommunication recovery options and communication plans. So, this thing, yung about sa communication, it is highlighted on this discussion because kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina sa 2C, kahit anong ganda ng plano natin na ginagawa sa loob ng negosyo, kung ito ay miscommunicated or non-communicated, hindi siya mag-work. Like for example, ang ganda man ng plano ni Charles sa buong 2B, kung lahat naman ng estudyante ay hindi nakikinig sa sinasabi niya at wala siyang response na nakukuha, kahit anong ganda ng plano ni Charles, hindi mag-work yun kasi hindi siya nagiging two-way yung communication. No, so, kung ilalagay natin on a business context, responding, communicating, and resolving things through communication is very much important kapag nakaka-encounter sila ng calamities or disruption. And then, fifth one in the risk assessment is prioritization of findings and development of a roadmap. If we were to compare the roadmap, yun po yung guidance. No? Kumbaga kung ilalagay natin sa layman's term or sa parang simpler meaning ng roadmap, di ba kapag tayo ay unaware sa pupuntahan nating lugar, we are checking on the map. Like for example, nagra-rides kayo, nakamotor kayo, di nyo naman alam yung pupuntahan. You will check on the map para well-guided kayo kung saan kayo dadaan, ano yung mga better way na daanan, saan tayo papunta, kakaliwa ba, kakanan, etc. Diba? Ganun yung roadmap. And kung ilalagay natin sa konteksto ng negosyo, ang roadmap po ay yung guidance. Guidance na kung saan maaaring iba-iba ang mangyayari sa kada taon. No? Like for example, an investment firm crafted a roadmap good for 5 years. Kunwari lang. Sa year 1, ito yung gusto nilang ma-achieve. Sa year 2, ito. Year 3, ganyan. Year 4, year 5. And while on the process of experiencing those years, kuwari, nasa year 1 ka, ng roadmap mo, there are several changes that might happen or that might occur because of some circumstances. Kasi hindi naman natin masasabi na kapag isinulat natin, iyon na talaga yung mangyayari. Kasi ang change ay inevitable or change is constant. Even if we try our best to not somehow sabotage the plan, may mga insidente pa rin na makakapagsabotahin nun kasi hindi naman natin kontrolado yung ibang bagay kagaya nga ng calamities. And with that, if we truly assess the risk that we have as a business and we develop a good roadmap, it is easy for us to still continue operating despite experiencing hardships because of calamities. So, yun lang naman yung point ng step 1. So, in general, dito sa step 1, ang pinupunto lang dito, alamin natin ano yung problema. Tingnan natin kung saan tayo exposed na problema. And most likely, if we are all aware of those problems, of those risks, it is easier for us as businesses to develop a good guidance, which is also called as roadmap. So, yun lang naman yung punto ng step 1. Nagigets po ba? Or, haba ng explanation ko, nasa step 1 pa lang ako. Ayan. So, thank you sa mga nag-react. Ayan. So, step 2 will be business impact analysis. So, this term was already highlighted on the previous discussion. Tama po ba? Nabanggit ko na to nung nakaraan na parang nakalimutan na nila. Ayan, so nabanggit ko na siya nung nakaraan. So, business impact analysis have two important things. The recovery point objective and recovery time objective. So, baka mapagbaliktad ko pa yung dalawa, no? Pero ang punto lang naman nitong RPO and RTO, yung isa sa kanila, dapat alam natin yung age ng data, kung kailan siya magiging useful dun sa business. Yung isa naman ay dapat alam natin yung maximum time kung kailan tayo makakabalik agad sa business after experiencing disruption. So, baka mapagbaliktad ko double check nyo na lang din sa presentation natin last time. And the reason bakit ito step 2, diba sabi natin nung umpisa, i-assess natin yung risk, alamin natin yung problems na ma-encounter natin, tsaka tayo gumawa ng magandang guidance, which is called roadmap. Dito naman sa step 2, which is the business impact analysis, we will conduct the recovery assumption. So, meaning to say, kapag recovery assumption, ito yung mga possible things na pwede natin gawin after we experience the disruption. Diba nga yung punto ng RPO and RTO, nag-exist sila kasi nangyari na yung hindi natin inaasahan ng insidente. Kaya nga natin inaalam hanggang anong taon yung i-recover natin na data. Hanggang ilang araw, ilang oras tayo mag-iintay para makabalik doon sa business operation. Meaning to say, nangyari na yung dapat na mangyari or nangyari na hindi dapat mangyari. Kaya nandito na tayo sa BIA or Business Impact Analysis. And in this part, highlighted on the second bullet, critical business processes and workflows as well as the supporting production application. So, as we all know, all of the investment firms, most especially on a macro scale, yung malalaking mga negosyo, hindi na talaga sila gumagamit ng paper and pen. They are using softwares, they are using business analytics, analytical tools, they are using applications to somehow lessen the burden on the end of employees and as well as to be efficient and effective on the business process para mas mapadali. And isa nga sa reason kung bakit natin kailangan gumawa agad ng business continuity plan dahil pag naka-encounter nga tayo ng disruption, nagkakaroon talaga ng aberya sa business process. Kuwari, si Charles ay accountant, nagko-compute siya at the moment, tapos biglang nag-shutdown yung kuryente kasi yun pala may nasusunog sa basement. Diba, affected na yung business process na ginagawa ni Charles as accountant. So, dapat meron tayong mga supporting production applications na ginagamit. Yun, kagaya nga ng big data, kagaya ng data warehousing, na nababanggit natin dun sa isang subject na nag-i-store ng mga important data na kailangan natin to still continue doing the business operations that we should do for us to be able to render the work that we need to finish. So, parang ganun siya. And then lastly, dito naman sa third point, which is the interdependence, both internal and external. Sa business impact analysis kasi, we are trying to locate what are the possible solutions that we should do kung sakali nga na ma-experience na natin yung disruption. And in some cases, different departments might function differently from one another, but they might function also as one. Now, for example, si Lyra ay head ng HR at si Etheline ay head ng finance/accounting. Ang role nilang dalawa ay magpasweldo ng maayos sa mga empleyado. Even if Etheline have different job specification and even if Lyra also have different job specification, they still work as one kasi hindi naman mabibigay ni Etheline yung pasweldo sa empleyado kung hindi ko compute ni Lyra yung oras na iginugol ng mga empleyado sa pagtatrabaho. No, so they have interdependencies. Yun kasi yung ibig sabihin nun. Yung relationship sa isa't isa kahit meron naman kayong distinction. Nagigets niyo po mga anak. No, 'di ba? Different departments have different functions. Tama? And those differences also have common denominator. Meron pa ring rason para maging isa kayo kasi nga may mga trabaho na connected kayo sa isa't isa. No, like for example, si sales and si marketing. No, 'di ba nalalaman natin na may correlation pala yung paano natin mina-market sa consumers yung ating produkto na nagre-reflect sa sales. Pero magkaiba sila ng function, magkaiba sila ng ginagawa. And through business impact analysis, inaalam din natin yon yung mga relationship ng bawat departments na yon, both internal and external. Ibig sabihin ng internal, yung nasa loob, external ay nasa labas. Yung mga nasa labas, like for example, relationship sa customer, relationship sa suppliers, relationship sa distributors. Diba kahit sabihin naman natin hindi sila directly hired, pero sila ay affected pa din kapag tayo ay naka-experience ng disruption. So might as well think, no? Think of some plans that somehow still relates to them. Kasi baka sabihin nyo, ang hirap naman pala pumasok sa industry, may mga ganto-ganto pa. Maybe, yes, mahirap. Pero in some ways, yung mga ganito namang klaseng business impact analysis, kahit naman isulat nyo lang sa papel, or kahit isabihin nyo lang sa boss nyo na, ay, nung nagkaroon po tayo ng disruption last time, sir, nung nawalan po tayo, nung nagkaroon po ng electricity shutdown, after 2 hours, nakabalik naman na po kami agad sa pagtatrabaho kasi naayos na po agad ng utility and maintenance yung electricity. So, kahit hindi naman natin siya technically isinapapel, hindi natin din-document, hindi natin naman ng report, kaya, no, nai-assume ng boss na, okay, so, whenever we experience electrical disruption or electricity disruption, after 2 hours pala, kaya na siyang gawin ng utility. So, after that time, pwede nang bumalik sa operations. Kahit na verbally mo lang naman sinabi. So, ayun, yung difference ng step 1, which is risk assessment, doon, ina-analyze natin yung problema. Dito sa pangalawa, nangyari na yung problema, tapos ano yung solusyon na gagawin natin? Kasi meron niyang mga interrelationship between one department to another, merong interdependencies between internal and external parties, merong mga processes na nahihinto, kaya ano yung solution na gagawin natin? Recovery assumption na yung ginagawa natin sa business impact analysis. Nagigets po yung difference ng dalawang step? Hello, everyone. Nalilito na. Ayan. Step 3. Ano yun na natin to? Step 3, Business Continuity Plan Development. So, dito, I will just sum it up, no, yung nakalagay dyan sa mga bullets. Kung na-assess na natin yung problema sa una, pangalawa ay inassume nating nangyari at ano na yung mga solutions na gagawin natin. Dito sa Business Continuity Plan Development, all of the solutions that we think na hindi naman nag-work doon sa pangalawa, kailangan nating i-revise dito sa pangatlo. Yun yung punto niyan. So sabi dito, obtaining executive sign-off of business impact analysis. Pinaka-importante dyan, third bullet, developing departments, division, and site level plans. Nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina na businesses have different departments and each departments have different functions. No, so, kung ikaw, Juris, ay may-ari ng isang kumpanya, dapat ka bang gumawa ng plano ng isa lang na hindi kino-consider yung department, hindi kino-consider yung division? Sa tingin niyo, tama bang gano'n na, ay hindi, mag-iisip ako ng plano. Ito yung gagawin pag may lindol, ganyan-ganyan. Without considering, no, the specifications and the uniqueness of each department. Which is mali. Ayun yung mostly kamalian, no, ng mga businesses, most especially maliliit na negosyo, na akala nila, kapag nag-isip sila ng solusyon, as a whole, masasagot na nun lahat. But in reality, it is not. No? Hindi niya nasasagot lahat. Dahil iba-iba ang pangangailangan, iba-iba ang roles na ginagampanan ng bawat department. So, kung ano ang need ni finance at ano yung plans ni finance department, iba sa plans ni HR. Tama po ba? Kasi maaring, okay, naisip ni finance department na may financial risk kami, na meron kaming risk exposure na ganito kataas financially. Si HR, hindi naman sila financial hindi naman sila exposed sa financial risk. Paano kung yung nagawang plano ay tungkol lang or concerning lang sa financial risk, no? So, it means, yung plano ay hindi mag-work sa ibang department. Maaaring sa isang department lang. Kaya importante na kapag nagka-craft na tayo ng business continuity plan, chine-check talaga natin or nagde-develop talaga tayo on the site level, on the department level. Kasi mas madaling solusyonan ng problema or mas madaling gumawa ng solusyon na malaki kung uumpisahan mo sa maliliit. Na kahit naman siguro in real life ganun eh. No, kung may malaki kang problema, lutasin mo muna yung maliliit na kaya mo. Tapos kapag naraos mo na yung maliliit na yun, flow naman yan, magdedire-diretso naman yan na, okay, natapos ko na, kung may 10 kang problema, maliit yung 5, malaki yung 5, natapos mo na yung 5 maliliit, madali na yung 5 kasunod, kasi nabawasan ka na ng problema. So, kung gagawa ka naman ng plano, di simulan mo sa maliliit. Tapos yung maliliit na yun, kung ano yung mga summarization ng plans ng mga bawat department, pag samasamahin mo, tsaka bumuo ng isang malaking plan. So, parang ganun siya sa step 3. And sabi dito, reviewing plan with key stakeholders to finalize and distribute. So, once again, even if it is not concerning on your department, it is important for you to give the information to other departments kasi pwede nga may interdependencies. No, kung nakaisip ng plan si finance, kasi anchored niya lahat ni finance department, 'di ba? So, kung anchored niya lahat, dapat aware yung iba. Ano ba yung plano ni finance kapag ganito yung nangyari? Affected si HR. Kasi may interdependencies nga sila. O kaya naman, kapag naka-experience ng risk si finance department, tas affected si production, anong dapat gawin ni production? Dapat i-inform ni finance. No, kaya importanteng kapag kami mga plans, nire-review as a whole. Even if yung mga plans na nagawa ay specific lang for it or for one department. No? Kahit na hindi naman siya magagamit ng ibang department, dapat ini-inform pa rin yung iba. So, anong difference ni step 3? Una, inassess yung problema. Pangalawa ay nag-isip ng solusyon. Pangatlo, yung mga solusyon na naisip. Dun sa pangalawa ay gagawan ng revisions. Mayroong department level plans. Nire-review yung mga bagong plano kasama ang stakeholders. Nagigets po yung step 3? Guys. Ayan, parang gusto niya na yata mag-lunch. Ayan, step 4, strategy and plan development, and step 5 will be plan testing and maintenance. So, sa step 4, sabi dito, in the development phase, it's important to incorporate many perspectives from various staff and all departments to help map the overall company feel and organizational focus. So, ang gist lang naman itong pang-apat na step, pag na-inform nyo na lahat, might as well get the recommendations, get the suggestions from different levels of the management. Diba? Alam niyo yung triangle of management. May top level, may middle level, and may low level management. And those levels have different perspective. Kung ano yung point of view ng nasa top level, iba sa point of view ng nasa middle level. Iba rin naman sa point of view ng nasa lower level. But all of them are essential for the business operations. So, kung may nakikitang kamalian si low level doon sa plano, and then might as well get their thoughts, get their recommendations, kasi baka mamaya yung plano mas mapaganda pa kung makakapag-incorporate sila ng kanilang recommendations. Kasi baka mamaya sila naman talaga yung exposed doon sa problema na yun, tapos hindi i-consider ng boss yung kanilang mga suggestion, baka pag nangyari yung insidente kahit hindi naman nila gusto, baka mamatay pa sila. So, parang ganon. And dito sa plan development, so crucial phase to. Crucial phase. Kasi, aminin na natin at sa hindi naman kasi lahat ng boss ay nagtitake talaga ng opinions. Tama po ba? No, may mga ganong klaseng leaders may ganong klaseng mga tao na they just wanted to be followed, but they do not want to follow. Gusto nila na susunod lang sila, pero ayaw nila nang susunod sila. No? And in investment firms, dahil nga ang usapan dito ay malalaking kumpanya, hindi naman pwedeng sa laki ng kumpanya, isang ulo lang ang gagana. Eh kung meron kang 100 empleyado, di paganahin mo lahat ng ulo ng mga yun, baka mas maganda pa yung magawang plano. So, yun yung punto ng pang-apat na step. And yung pang-5, very easy, plan, testing, and maintenance. In this case naman, di ba, we already checked the problems, we already assessed the problems, and then on the second part, we already did some solutions. On the third part ay nagkaroon na tayo ng revisions dun sa solutions na naisip. Sa pang-apat naman ay ini-incorporate natin yung recommendations ng iba. So, after crafting everything, kung nagawa na natin yung plans and all, might as well test it and maintain it. So, sabi dito, there are 3 things to consider when testing the plan. Kung talaga mag-work yung business continuity plan nga na ginawa. Una ay through simulation exercise to ensure key stakeholders are comfortable with the plan steps. So, for example, ang nangyaring disruption ay earthquake. Di ba nagkakandak tayo ng mga earthquake drill? Kahit naman wala pang lindol, alam naman na natin kung saan tayo pupunta, alam naman na natin kung ano yung gagawin, yung duck hold cover. Yan, kasi may simulation exercise tayo na ginagawa. Kapag may sunog, itinuturo sa atin kung nasan yung fire exit. Diba? Alam natin kung saan located ang mga fire extinguisher. Or maybe, kayo mga estudyante, hindi nyo alam, pero kaming employees, utilities, security, alam namin kung saan nakalagay. So, ang reason kung bakit kailangan ng simulation exercise is doon natin malalaman talaga kung nag-work ba yung mga plans na naiisip. No, and then, sabi dito, executing biannual plan reviews. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, twice nire-review yung nagawang business continuity plan. Kasi po pwedeng on the first 6 months, yung continuity plan ay nag-work, on the next 6 months, hindi na nag-work. So, baka kailangan i-revise pa ulit. And lastly, is perform annual business impact assessment. So, ayun, yung parang kanina, tinitingnan nila ano yung mga recovery assumptions, ano yung recovery point objective, ano yung recovery time objective. Nire-review lang nila yon. Tapos, tinitingnan nila kung yung mga inilagay ba nila doon ay nag-work pa rin sa ngayon. No, kagaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, kung after 2 hours, kung may electricity shutdown, nakabalik na sila. Ngayon ba kapag nagka-electricity shutdown, after 2 hours, makakabalik pa ulit? Ina-assess nila yung mga laman ng business impact na nagawa nila nung una. So, ayun. After, sa step 4, after getting the recommendations of the employees, yung panlima, ititest na nila kung talagang nag-work lahat ng plans na nagawa. So, yun lang naman yung 5 steps. First step is to risk assess. Second is to check the business impact analysis. Third is to craft the business continuity plan. Fourth is to strategize and develop plan. And then fifth is testing the plan and maintain it. So, yun lang naman yung content nung first half. Meron po ba kayong questions? Guys, nagets naman. You can react anything if nagets naman. And klaro ilan na kayo nag-heart sa akin. Baka yung iba dito, okay lang naman kung nagla-lunch na kayo. Wala lang problema. Naka-open cam. Ayan. So, ayan. Second part na tayo ng discussion. So, ang i-discuss ko na ay 6 stages of the business continuity management life cycle. No, diba sabi ko sa inyo kanina, related to sa isa't isa. No, kasi kanina, yung mga steps, yun yung hakbang na dapat gawin ng investment firms kapag gagawa sila ng business continuity planning. Ito naman, ito yung mga yugto. Stages is yugto ng business continuity management life cycle. Sa paggawa ng isang mabuting plano, dapat alam mo yung severity, yung bahagdan na dapat pagdaanan ng isang negosyo para mag-strive pa din. No, kaya inuna nating pag-usapan paano gumawa ng plano. Pangalawa nating pag-uusapan, ano ba yung yugto? No, bakit ba kailangan pa ng negosyong gumawa ng business continuity plan? May 6 na yugto. Bakit kailangan pa nilang gumawa ng business continuity management or plan? No, so first stage is mitigate risk. Ano yung first step natin kanina? Kung naalala niyo pa, ano yung first step natin? Nakalimutan na. Yes, Charles. Yan, correct. Thank you, Charles. No, di ba sabi natin, una natin dapat inaalam yung mga problema. Bakit ba natin kailangan alamin yung problema? Kung sa umpisa pa lang na yugto, pwede na nating pigilan na yung problema ay mangyari. No, di ba ang Tagalog ng mitigate ay lunasan or maibsan? Na parang ganun yung dating. Ayan, so para wala na tayong masyadong i-assess, dapat gawa na muna natin na mitigation yung risk. No, so sabi dito sa stage 1, preparing your business to respond to unexpected events requires proactive planning. Identify, understand, and prioritize business continuity risk and develop response plans and mitigation plans. Mitigation includes proactively reducing the likelihood of an event and reducing the impact of an event if it does occur. So, 2 things. Para hindi na mangyari ang negosyo, para hindi na mangyari ang isang problema, gawa na ng paraan kahit hindi pa nangyayari yung problema. Sabi dito, 2 yung reason bakit kailangan i-mitigate. Pinapababa natin yung chances na yung incident ay mangyari. Pangalawa ay nire-reduce natin yung impact ng incident kapag nangyari na siya. Bibigyan ko kayo ng example. Para maiwasan natin na tumaas ang risk exposure natin sa sunog, as business owner, huwag tayong gumamit ng mga materyales para sa building na prone sa sunog. Nagigets nyo? Ayaw nating ma-experience na masunugan eh. Huwag kang gumamit ng mga materyales na expose sa sunog. Like for example, wood. But usually, ang mga buildings na malalaki, metal yan, tsaka bato. Hindi ko naman sinasabing hindi na sila exposed sa sunog, pero ang sinasabi ko, hindi sila masyadong mataas yung exposure sa sunog. Kasi nga, hindi naman somehow mabilis masunog ang bakal at ang bato. Kung sakali man na mangyari yung sunog, sabi dyan, reducing the impact of an event if it does occur. Kung umpisa pa lang, nag-isip na tayo ng mitigating factors or mitigating solutions para dun sa isang incident kapag nangyari, mas bababa yung chances na maging impactful siya. For example, yun nga, dahil bato at bakal ang ginamit mo nung umapoy, hindi naman lahat ng floors ay nasunog. Pero kung iyon ay kahoy, tapos nagsimula yung sunog sa baba, asahan mo yan hanggang taas yan sunog. Kasi mabilis masunog ang kahoy. So parang ganun siya. Now, para wala na tayong masyadong i-assess na risk, unang stage na dapat gawin ay i-mitigate yung risk. I-lessen yung chances na mangyari yung risk ngayon. Or else, kung nangyari naman, at least hindi na ganun ka-impactful. Hindi na malaki yung chances na malala yung mangyari. Kasi nga, na-solusyonan na natin or nakakaisip na tayo ng better way to do from the start pa lang at hindi pa nangyayari talaga. Parang may ganyang may ganyang mga saying, 'di ba, na ano ba 'yun? Ano yung saying na 'yun na prevention is keme than cure. Basta ganon. Narinig niyo ba yung na 'yun? Quotation na 'yun. Prevention is better than cure. Parang sa NSTP ginagamit yung ganon. Kasi mas mainam na ma-prevent nga kaysa gamutin. Mas maganda ng isipan ng mitigation kaysa hintayin natin na malala pa yung mangyari. So, ayan yung unang stage. Pangalawa ay prepare. Ito sa prepare, haba ng sinabi dyan, no? Pero ang punto lang naman yan, communication have to be powerful and flexible with several key features. In tough times, communication is very hard. No? Kung tayo man yung malalagay sa mga sitwasyon na hindi naman natin inaasahang mangyari, parang hindi mo na kasi maiisip na mag-cellphone, hindi mo na maiisip sumagot ng telepono, hindi mo na maiisip na mag-email, di ba? Kung makaka-experience ka ng lindol, makaka-experience ka ng sunog, kung siguro nasa safe place ka, pwede. Mag-i-inform ka na sa team, mag-i-inform ka na sa GC, mag-i-inform ka na sa magulang mo, gano'n na. Ito yung nangyari, yada. So, sabi nga di ba natin dun sa nakaraang discussion, yung governance mahirap kapag nasa state of calamity tayo kasi hindi mo na maiisip na manager ka kapag nasa sunog kayo kasi isipin mo na lang how to save yourself, 'di ba? So in these tough times, might as well think of a better communication kapag nangyari yun through different key features. Pwedeng ang cellphone, yan yung mobile, pwedeng multi-channel. Sa multi-channel po pwedeng gumamit kayo ng different applications. No? Baka mamaya may GC na kayo sa Messenger, meron pa kayong email, meron pa kayong Telegram, meron pa kayong Viber, meron kayong options to talk sa iba't ibang klase ng applications. When we deal about customizable, kunwari, yung team ni Charles, meron silang bukod na GC, silang finance, tapos si Lyra, may bukod silang GC ng HR. So, customizable, yun naman yung tawag. And kung targeted naman, parang may specific na private message ka dun sa tao. Like for example, may sunog, huwag naman sana. Tapos 42 tayo sa klase. Ang kasama ko lang 41. So, specifically, pare, ang nawawala si Charles. Ang target ko lang na ako kontakin ay si Charles. No? Kasi siya na lang yung hindi ko kasama. So, parang ganon. No, kung sa umpisa, minimitigate na natin yung risk. Pangalawa, dapat paghandaan natin yung communication. Kasi nga, kagaya na nabanggit ko, in tough times, sa oras ng kahirapan, lalo na kung nakaka-experience tayo ng disruption, mahirap ang communication. So, might as well be prepared. No? On the several communication or ways of communication na pwede gawin ng bawat employees. So, yun yung stage 2. 3, easy, mag-respond. Kunwari, si Charles ay class mayor, may tinatanong si Charles, anong nararamdaman mo, Charles, kapag may chat ka sa GC, tas walang nagre-reply? Ayan, may sagot siya. That's why, ma'am, in every department of any workplace, dapat may isang tauhan na member ng emergency team. Totoo yun. Totoo din yun. Ayun, Charles, yung tanong ko, di ba kunwari, hindi naman emergency, but urgent. Nagtanong ka sa class. Tapos, nireactan ka lang ng 40. Anong mararamdaman mo? Kailangan mo ng sagot eh. Masaya ka ba pag ano? Yan. Communicate back dapat. Kaya nga natin pinag-aralan, thank you Charles, kaya nga natin pinag-aralan sa purposive communication na ang communication ay 2 ways. No, may encoder at may decoder. May sender at merong receiver. Tapos may feedback. Kasi nga, may mga pagkakataon na kinakailangan talaga ng feedback. And in times no na nasa hindi na tayo magandang kalagayan, kuwari nga may disruption, may calamities na paulit-ulit kong sinasabi, a better way no to become what do you call this, yung nakikiisa ka doon sa team mo, nakikiisa ka doon sa kumpanya mo, eh yung simpleng pagsagot kapag merong nakikipag-communicate sa'yo. No, kaya nga kayo in-inform na meron GC, kaya kayo binigyan ng mga emergency fund para sa load allowance, kaya kayo binigyan ng mga ganang mga pa-eme, ng mga kumpanya. Kasi nga may mga gantong insidente na possible mangyari. Eh kung 60 kayong empleyado, 58, nawawala yung dalawa. Tapos yung dalawa pala, nasa coffee shop, nagkakape na, hanap ng hanap pa yung boss. Tapos hindi nagre-reply. Sa tingin nyo yung boss ba mapapakali? Baka akalain pa ng boss namatay na yung dalawa. Yung pala, nasa coffee shop na. Diba? So, yun, just communicate, and if someone communicates with you, respond. Yun lang naman yung point ng step or ng stage 3. Then, stage 4 will be resolve. A communication plan is essential for ensuring that responders can communicate with each other. Yan. So, kung meron ng good communication, kasi meron naman ng inilatag na paraan paano makikipag-communicate. All aware naman yung mga tao na kailangan nila mag-respond. So, in that way, kahit nasabihin natin, hindi naman natin nare-resolbahan yung issue talaga or yung incident na nangyayari, at least merong communication na maayos na. Sabi nga dito, communication equipment, procedures, and systems must be interoperable. So, ibig sabihin, hindi dapat siya na, what do you call this in Tagalog? Nai-interrupt. Kasi hindi dapat siya nahihinto yung maayos na communication. Because, yun, a good communication can solve things. Kahit na sabihin mong sunog yan, kahit sabihin mong lindol yan, bagyo yan. Kung well communicated lahat, at meron kayong maayos na communication sa isa't isa, kahit pare-pareho kayong staff, kahit kausap niyo yung boss niyo na hindi niyo na ginalang sa chat, okay lang yun as long as nakakausap kayo. Kasi nga, in tough times, communication is a must. Yun lang naman yun. Things will be resolved if well communicated lahat. So, yun yung punto ng stage 4. And then, stage 5 will be recover. So, dito sa recover, well, expected na ng mga businesses na kailangan nila ng recovery time kapag may na-experience sila na mga calamities, gano'n. No, lalo na kung hindi mo inaasahan kasi may iba't ibang klase ng calamities nga. May sunog is not calamity, pero yung bagyo, yung earthquake, ano pa ba, yung sunog kasi, it can be neglected, hindi sinasadya or sinadya, which is arson yung tawag. So, dito sa recover, sabi dito, how you communicate about crisis can seriously impact how the public, the media, customers, and regulators perceive your company. So, dahil nga ang pinakapunto natin dito ay investment firms, so ibig sabihin mga malalaking kumpanya, meron silang publicity. No, kahit sabihin mo man na hindi naman lahat ng kumpanya ay kilala natin. Pero pag sinabi sa balita na naglagablab itong ABC company, kahit hindi natin kilala yun, magiging interesado tayong alamin, ano ba yung kumpanya na sunog na yun? Ganyan-ganyan. So, may mga pagkakataon na as business, they should somehow portray a good image sa public kahit na somehow meron na silang itatago doon sa realness ng nangyayari sa disruption. Like for example, alam niyo yung case na nangyayari sa Star City na nasunog. Nabalitaan niyo yun dati. Ano pa yun pre-pandemic pa yun Tama ba ako? Basta pre-pandemic pa yun. I was still a student that time nung nangyari yung sunog na yun sa Star City. And there are lots of speculations about the fire incident in Star City. Some netizens says na yun daw ay arson. So, ibig sabihin ng arson, sinadyang sunugin. Meron namang ibang speculations from other netizens na sinasabi ay iyon daw ay negligence ng empleyado kasi naiwan yata na parang bukas pa yung ride kahit na wala ng tao. So, parang nag-cause siya ng flame. Now, on the report, stated on the news, publicly wala naman sinabing reason yung Star City. Basta sinabi lang nila na sunog yung Star City. Ay itong rides na to ay sunog. But they do not share the details about the fire incident itself. Hindi naman nila pinatotohanan, nakasalanan ng empleyado. Hindi rin naman nila sinabi na ang cause ng sunog ay sinadya nila. Kasi may speculation na dahil nga insured yung Star City at luma na yung ibang rides, pwede nilang sinadyang sunugin yung rides na yun or yung rides na yun para mapalitan yung mga bakal, mapalitan yung ride itself. Pero wala namang sinabing tama at mali si Star City about dun sa speculations ng mga netizens online. Basta ang sinabi lang nila sa public na nasunog tong rides na to sa Star City at kailangan nila ng recovery time kasi nga malaking portion ng Star City yung nasunog. Ayun. Kung aware lang kayo dun sa incident na yun. Pero ayun, anong relationship niya dun sa discussion natin? Kasi sabi dito, how you communicate about the crisis can seriously impact how the public, the media, customers, and regulators perceive your company. Paano kung sa tingin nyo sinabi ni Star City na, kuwari, ito yung reason, no? Hypothetically, sinabi ni Star City na, sinadya namin sunugin yung kasi luma na yun eh. Kailangan na talagang palitan. Sa tingin nyo, magiging ayos yung perception ng public sa kanila. Kung ayun talaga yung reason, ha? Sa tingin nyo, okay ba yun? Kung kayo yung mga magra-ride sa Star City, may tendencies pala silang gano'n na susunugin na lang nila pag luma. Di ba risky yung gano'n? Pero paano kung yun talaga yung reason nila? Pero hindi naman nila publicly sinabi na yun yung reason. So, hindi na natin malalaman kasi iba yung ipinortray nila na image sa public comparing dun sa reality na hindi naman na natin nalaman as consumers. So, yun, kasama sa recovery or dito sa stage 5 na recover, yung paano mo ipoproject yung sarili mo sa public kapag may nangyaring mga ganon. Kunwari, negligence. Yan yun. Kunwari nga, may bagyo, may lindol, ganyan, may sunog. Diba po pwede nating sabihin na ABC company suffers from building disruption because of the earthquake hit last week. Pwedeng ganun lang yung sinabi sa news, diba? Pero hindi naman na sinabi nila na naghihirap na sila, na hindi mo na sila magpapasok na empleyado, na 6 months silang delayed yung operations, yada yada yada. Like yung ibang information, hindi naman na nila publicly dinetail. Because they wanted to protect their image. So, kasama yun dun sa stage 5 na recover. And sabi nga dyan, communication must be sent that detail anticipated times of reopening impacted buildings. So, ang dapat lang daw nilang sinishare kailan magbubukas. Yun lang daw dapat yung details na sinishare at kino-communicate. Hindi na dapat yung iba pang mga bagay. Nagigets po? Nagigets naman yung stage 5. Ayan, thanks. And lastly, sa stage 6, will be resumed. So, ayun, at the end of the day, even if there are lots of hardships, no, that a certain company might experience, the best way that they could do is to resume right away kapag naka-experience sila ng disruption. Kasi, kagaya na nabanggit ko kanina, maraming affected, both internal and external. Kapag ang business operations ay na-delay, may mga taong nawawala ng pinagkakakitaan, may mga customers na hindi makakabili, merong mga suppliers na nawala ng kapartner. So, clearly, ang daming affected kapag hindi agad nag-resume. And the best way, no, that a business could do, no, after experiencing everything, every negative things that they might encounter is to resume. Sabi nga dyan, social media, round-the-clock news, and other instantaneous methods of communication have made communicating clearly and concisely with employees, customers, and business partners particularly important. No, so, despite being all planned and ready for everything, we cannot tell when the accident might happen, when will be the incidents will happen. Hindi naman natin kontrolado lahat. And as business owners or as investment firms, dahil nga sila ay nasa macro scale at malalaking kumpanya sila, dapat yung mga business continuity plan na nagagawa nila ay somehow mabilis yung recovery time objective. yung mabilis silang makakabalik sa normal business operations despite experiencing hardships. So, yun lang naman yung stage 6. So, puro one word lang naman to. Yung 6 stages, first is mitigate risk, second is prepare, respond, resolve, recover, and resume. And, ayan, I will end this meeting with this quotation. Very related dun sa discussion natin about business continuity management. Iba-iba yung magiging perception natin dito, pero ayan, babasahin ko na lang. Yan, incident management begins not with an incident but long before. Your preparation will directly impact the seriousness of the incident when it occurs. Make no mistake, regardless of your preparation, incidents will happen. From data breaches to building fires, they happen every day. So, yan, iba-iba yung perception natin, but yung pinaka-pinupunto lang naman yan ay ang pagmamanage ng mga pangyayaring hindi inaasahan ay dapat pinaghahandaan bago pa mangyari yung mismo insidente. Kasi yung preparation natin ang magdidikta kung gaano kalala yung mangyayari doon sa isang bagay o sa isang negosyo, kung gaano tayo kahanda o hindi. So, regardless of what preparation we did, it will still happen. We do not know when, we do not know how, but it will happen. Kaya dapat yung incident management or yung business continuity plan na tinatawag ay maayos. Kasi they happen every day. Hindi man natin alam kung kailan, pero it will happen. So, yun lang naman yung punto ng ating discussion today. Meron po ba kayong questions? Guys, girls, and gays, meron po bang tanong?